Westeros.
And welcome to our Morning Throners podcast.
I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Kyle.
And we're the fucking Morning Throners.
And welcome back to another episode of your favorite Song of Ice and Fire podcast. We are your Morning Throners, back with John 5. Gentlemen, how's it going?
John 5. It's going good, man.
Good.
This was a twist I didn't see coming this early, right?
Yeah, it was great because we just had the chapter last time.
Yeah. Well, exactly. It's the one that was like, oh, of course it's John, guys. So that's something I was thinking about while I was reading this, and all I could think of was it was kind of unfair the length of time in between we read, right? I forgot John was really even far enough over the wall to be down here.
Yeah.
Like, they're pretty far south.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. They walked a long ways down.
I think after the Bran episode, the first thing in the spoiler section Jeff and I talked about was like, dang, Kyle was so close, because when you were like going through like, okay, who could these people be at the end of Bran?
There, yeah.
Wildlings were a group of people that you had mentioned. You had mentioned basically like Boltons, Greyjoys, or Wildlings, and I think you went with Greyjoys. And I said to Jeff like, oh man, if Kyle would have thought about that for another second, especially because we showed the map and like, you're right, it's been a while since we had the last John chapter, but it was the last John chapter where John crossed the wall.
I know, but
right?
I had no idea they were like this far south, right? Like there's a time skip in there.
That's another good point is Bran in the chapter, right? He's talking about, we mentioned this last time, and if I can...
Yeah, we had a long discussion about how far away from the wall they were still. You can't even see it.
If you look at the map, right, the map shows Queen's Crown, and I'll pull it up. I gotta find it.
Love a good map time. We need a good map time. To Kyle's deal, it is a far walk from the map.
So while I'm looking up the map, give the quick summary of the chapter before we get too far off it.
All right, chapter in a sentence. Jon and Ygritte are talking about how they love each other, and then they put Jon to the test to kill an old man, and Summer gives him a chance to get out of there, and he takes it.
Yep, exactly. All right, here's the map. So the reason I want to bring this up is because last time in the Bran chapter, Bran definitely makes it seem like Queen's Crown is way down here closer to the New Gift.
Way south, yeah. And I remember having this discussion too. Like it sounded like he's like, well, now we just entered the New Gift, and here we are at Queen's Crown.
Exactly,
right?
And you guys kind of asked me, so what do we believe? Do we believe the chapter or the map? And I think what I like cheekily said at the time was, well, I'll believe the chapter until there's another chapter with contradictory information. And what John basically is describing here is that they are here. So I think Bran is just a little confused on where they are, because John's description is like, yeah, they basically came down right to the very border of the gifts because they wanted to avoid detection, right? And to your point, why come down this far south? I think they
I didn't say that.
Well, no, you said the reason you weren't really considering the Wildlings is because, like, why would you come this far south, right? It's like, so, and I agree with you. I think it's a little bit of
But the Wildlings, when I said it, wasn't John, for the record.
I know. But I still think it's a little bit of a plot device, because John does give a reason why they're this far south. And he's like, oh, it's to avoid detection from, like, the night. There's more Night's Watch patrols. You don't have to come this far south to avoid detection.
Yeah, like they're like a week and a half south.
Yeah. They just wanted to get their steps in. All right.
Exactly. So the other thing I'll mention while we have it up is John, the place, if you, and I didn't, it was, again, this is a weird thing for you to remember, but if you remember where John crossed, it was between Stone Door and Greyguard. So
okay,
it's kind of like halfway between, but again, to your point, way, way, way south.
Triangular. I see what you're saying. Like you can triangulate the.
I think Jeff had mentioned in that spoiler section that you probably thought on the first read that John and co was planning on just walking along the top of the wall. Like, why even come down off the top? Once you climb to the top, just walk the whole way to Castle Black.
Well, that kind of makes sense, though, right? Like, I mean, of all the lies or whatever he was telling them, there are people on the wall. Like, that's not a lie, right? Like, maybe not as frequent, but they're up there.
And to your point about the lies, he's been lying to, like, make them seem stronger than they actually are, to, like, kind of make it even more.
Well, that's true, too. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So,
all right. So we start with a little kind of... it's very similar to the Bran starting of the chapter. Like, we get some gift talk from Jon's perspective now to Ygritte, who Ygritte has no clue about any of this and actually kind of amazed by it all. And then, you get Jon, who's basically given the same thing Bran gave us about the new gift in the Alisane story.
Yeah, and like to your what you're saying with like Ygritte, they're looking at like a watchtower, right? Like a small watchtower.
The tower we were in last chapter.
They started a different one. it doesn't
Did
super
they?
matter just because there's like a time where they're like walking in the middle for like
Okay.
a day and a half or whatever. I also thought like at the end of the last chapter when you were going through your possibilities, when I mentioned that the next chapter was John, you got this like weird look on your face, and like Jeff and I looked into this a little bit because I thought you might have read like the first sentence or two of John and like given it away, like, oh, he stepped on the smell, or he smelled rotting apples or something like that.
Yeah,
and I thought
yeah.
it might have given it away to you that that's who it was. But anyway, yeah. So I think they are at a different one. Still, Egret's like, who built this? A king.
Yeah, this
Like,
massive building. This is insane. You didn't have giants. There was no crane.
How do you possibly get up there without a
And then
giant?
John's like, this fucking
Like
thing.
what's
like,
the tallest building in north of the wall? Like 15 feet high is the highest you can get.
Like, why don't they build? Like, they do have giants. You think they could build some pretty cool shit.
You
I
don't
guess
need
just
to.
'cause
They're
the
all
ground-
How
It's
about
moving
you
and
use
stuff,
your
right?
brains a little bit and figure out how to construct some shit? Like come on.
Exactly. What do you mean you don't need to, Kyle? Like, it's super cold up there. A nice stone house would keep some people
but they're like
warm.
primitive, right? Like that's like the whole of this chapter is like it felt very
The two worlds.
indigenous American to colonizer, right? Like that's really how it felt.
Like natives versus,
Yeah.
Like the
Like
bad
it was
European
like
people.
that was really what it was. And I mean, I'm not saying I like whatever. Like I'm not having a take on that. I'm just saying that's what it was.
Yeah. I get
Great
that.
is like
No, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Craster's Keep have an upstairs? Craster's Keep have an upstairs?
It had a
yes,
loft.
it had like an attic or something. But I mean, that's 2 floors. That's what I'm saying. Like I don't think they're like you go
I mean, what's
I
the
don't-
difference between 2 and 3? Just keep fucking going.
money and resources and
Well,
need
but they have
and
giants.
like.
They're not paying for anything.
But why do they need? She doesn't need a 6-story house. That's like her whole thing here. Is like that's where we.
I'm just questioning
we're-
why
we're
you wouldn't
fucking
give it the
wildlings,
good old
right?
college try, especially because the wildlings clearly have seen these things before, right? Like they're raiding and like, oh look, watchtowers. Why don't we try and
They
like,
don't
only
need
get a
to.
few?
All right,
This would
it's
take
all-
a giant. This
it's
would
all
take like
doesn't-
3 giants in an afternoon. It's like building with like Legos for them.
like she lays out their whole perspective in this chapter, and that's kind of what I was talking about earlier with the.
Why are
native,
why are
but
the
it's like you can't
giants just
own
the,
shit. You
the
can't-
main builders of the north
Exactly.
of the wall? They should be
Put those boys to work.
monopolizing the construction business. All right, so
Just punch a hole in a rock and then you live inside of it.
Exactly.
they also talk about why these buildings are all abandoned again, right? So we get John
Yep.
kind of saying again it's because of
And she calls them all
raiders,
cowards.
basically. Right? Yeah, and she's like, "Well, they're fools for leaving."
Yeah.
And then
And to
John's
your-
like, "Well, this is a fucking small tower anyway. Like this isn't big enough to defend,
Well,
or
this is
big
where they
enough
get into their
worthy
first-
to defend."
Yep.
First cultural like disagreement, right? Where he's like, they were getting fucking slammed by you people. Like, what do you mean? Maybe they're tired of that shit. And she's like, well, I mean, if they wanted this, they should have fought, right?
Yeah,
That's now.
right.
What's happening here?
I don't have that for a little bit. Two things I wanted to hit on beforehand. When they're talking about the building, Jeff kind of mentioned this earlier. Like, how'd you build this tall without giants? John thinks, and this is like little history. He's like, Bran the Builder did use giants because, which
Yeah.
again, we don't like. That doesn't quite get explained. But like, Bran the Builder was using giants to like what, build the wall. But like, if the wall is building, were giants on our side and the wildling side at one point? You know what I mean?
Could it
Like when
be?
they built the
or they
wall?
use them to build and like, all right, like while
that
you're
was-
building the wall, like stay on that side, and then
That was before wildlings were a thing, though, right?
Well, exactly. It's before the wildlings were the bad guys, right? When we built the wall, we're not building the wall to keep out wildlings, right? It's kind of like what
The
they've
wall's
said
initial need was for the whites. It sounds like,
Exactly.
or the whatever the cold up there.
Yeah, because they had the long night. There was like there's all these stories of a hero who ended this long night, and then let's put up this big ass wall. So yeah, I think back then they were all just kind of like one group, which is like Bran the Builder did use giants, but John doesn't want to
Well-
bring that up and mention that to Ygritte. I think it'd be interesting if he did. If she would be like, yeah, because back then we were all on the same team. You know what I mean? I don't know if she'd go that route.
it doesn't
but
explain why the wildlings got stuck on that side of the wall, though.
it's just
They were
because
just up
some
there.
people would have been left there,
And
then
they just
eventually
said, "Fuck it, I'm not leaving."
Yeah,
Oh,
I-
the greatest enemy ever that while we need to build this big magical wall, we're just gonna say, nah, fuck it, I like my house too much.
Well, who
So,
knows?
I
Maybe
mean,
they were like, "Hey, everyone who wants on, come this side, real
I'm
quick."
sure you would think that.
And then
that
there was
would
just a few
happen.
idiots who just stayed north. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they
I have a lot
populated.
to say about this, but I don't really want to put it all into the podcast.
You're good.
So
You're good.
we'll just
All right,
let
so-
it
The
go.
other thing about history I wanted to sprinkle in here is when she's like, "Dang, this is such a tall tower." John's like, "This is literally nothing. Like the towers at Winterfell are bigger than this." But she says, or he tells her
My
that the
dick is
tallest
bigger than
tower
this, is what he
is in
thinks.
Old Town, and it's taller than the wall. So I don't know
That's
if you've heard
pretty
about that
crazy.
yet.
I don't think I remember that. Or
Because the wall's
Where's
700
Old
feet
Town?
high, down in the
Old
Reach.
Town is where the Maesters study.
Okay.
Yep, exactly. Down in the Reach.
Yeah, we haven't been there yet.
Correct.
Cool.
So just a cool little factoid there. I will also say that tower is called the High Tower.
Interesting.
Interesting name.
Yeah, very
Aptly
unique.
named,
It's kind of
yeah.
like how you name shit in your video games.
Well, it's kind of funny because I thought that was going to be like a joke to Kyle doesn't mean anything. But in House of the Dragon, there's a house called House Hightower, and that's what
They live in
they're
Old
named
Town.
after. They live in Old Town, exactly. So that should mean a little bit to Jeff because it kind of places the house.
During this, John also dreams of like taking her to Winterfell, right? Like he kind of wishes that he could
exactly.
show her around.
He does go through the whole problem, the dilemma he's in.
What's that?
Like he can't, anything he would do puts her in jeopardy as well, right? Like they can't ever be together in any way outside of this. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
She's gonna get killed if he betrays. Probably
She'd probably
they're
never
gonna get
come
killed
with
in the
her.
war. Yeah, she's not gonna want to. Yeah, he says she's a wildling through and through, pretty wildling to the bone is what he says.
What would
to her
what
over
would
and
the
over again.
watch say
Or
if he
doesn't say it to
tried
her,
to
but-
bring her to, like, say she agreed and he brings her to the watch?
Exactly. He's
Yeah,
just
no
so
way.
fucked. So like, and that's really what he's the whole time internally is what he's saying. And then the whole chapter, like I said, is about their differences too. Like where they get in these not arguments. Well, some of them are arguments but it's like the worldview is completely opposite.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I think is interesting is I think there is a way where John and Ygritte can end up happily ever after. And I think it's interesting that John doesn't think about it at all because it's what Ygritte's saying. You just join us. You literally join us.
Yeah.
We win this
We
war,
win.
and me and you
If we
can literally
win-
come back and live in this tower. That's what Ygritte's saying here. We can
Yeah,
literally come back
yes.
thereafter and live here.
But-
and John's thinking, damn, there's absolutely no possible way that happens.
That's
she
like
just gave
literally
it to you.
the only way he could be happy in the end is to betray everything he knows for
Betray
somebody that he
everyone.
knows for a little bit. Yeah.
Exactly.
Everything and hope that his brothers all die like in this war, right? And actively defeat his brother.
Exactly. And along these lines, the next
So
thing
no,
he-
there's no win.
The-
Shut up.
Along these lines, the next thing he says, and I'm going to bring it way back after I say it, he thinks about something that Ned had planned one time, and I guess had mentioned to John in passing.
Moving lords into these places.
And John thinks he could have been one of these people. Was Ned basically like, why does John know about this? John was 14 when he left. He was 13.
I think it's possible.
That Ned was like, hey, dude, I know things are kind of rough for you here, but don't worry. Maybe you'll be lord of one of these small castles one
Yeah.
day.
I don't see why not.
I bring this up because way back in book 1, when John's like going into the Night's Watch, I definitely brought up a point of, like, why is John doing this? He says like I have no
I
other
don't know
options.
if you would have. I don't know if you would
I
have brought it
definitely
up to
wouldn't have brought it
Kyle
up
though. You
to
probably
Kyle.
brought it up to me.
I
yeah.
definitely brought it up in the spoiler
And we've
section.
had this conversation multiple times. So
Like he had potentially other options or he knows of something.
exactly.
like, he wasn't living the worst life ever as the bastard of Winterfell.
Yeah, like Cat was mean to him, but he fucking lived in a castle. He was eating great food every day. Here he is with all these like shitters at Castle Black. Even without this option, he could have been like, you know what, fuck it. I don't actually want to say the oath. It was great visiting. I'm going back to Winterfell to eat off my silver plate. You know what I mean?
Honestly, knowing John now, right? Like I think some of it's honor too. Like he didn't want to just be a nobody in his family and be a fat cat at home.
I get that. But again, it's like a temporary thing. He knows that it wouldn't have been forever. He would have become a lord of
Yeah, if he
a,
could have
a
lasted
shitty,
till
a small
18,
town
I know, but
18
in
or
the gift. Yeah.
But look what would have happened.
Yeah, Ned would have
right?
died.
Ned would have died and it would have all ended.
Yeah. Yeah, I just kind of want to bring that back on full circle. We don't have to linger on it.
All right, so they get back into this talk now of like, why are they open houses, right? Why is no one here anymore?
Yeah, this is the part I jumped to earlier.
And John's basically
Yep.
like, it's your guys' fault. Like, you guys raided the people out of here, and they didn't have enough people to protect or enough want to stay. You know, there was no reward for them versus the risk of dealing with the raiders, especially as the wall grew less and less populated by watchmen. So,
And again, this is then they're not going to see common ground on. Ygritte's like, well, then they should have fought if they wanted to stay. And John's like,
Yep.
why would you deal with that if you could just move like 20 miles south and not have to
And be
not
cool.
have to deal with that? Yeah, you don't have to teach your kids to fight. You can just
just
teach
a
them to
pride
farm.
thing. Wildlings more prideful than
I think they
than the
respect
kneelers?
strength. I think the kneelers are more like modern day people who like you can have a trade and be good at a trade, and you don't have to be able to defend yourself because that's provided to you by from some government.
And maybe you don't want to have to fucking come home and sword fight somebody to save your daughter, right?
I don't know.
Like,
Egret seems
apparently
pretty
Egret
geeked
does.
up to.
I know,
to wanna
but
do that
these
stuff.
people don't want to. Is what I'm saying, and that's the whole colonizer or like you said, modern European person,
Just a societal, big societal.
Yeah,
difference.
exactly. Yeah, so you move into a society for safety, so you don't have to worry about shit like that. So you don't have to do other.
Egret just thinks that's part of life. Like, no, I'm gonna I'll kill you. You want to? If you can kill me, you deserve my house. Basically, is the way Egret. Like, all right, you beat me.
She said, "We don't steal wives. We only steal daughters."
Yeah.
John's like, "Well, bullshit. You steal a lot of stuff. I've seen cups and gems and stuff moving out of these places too." Yeah, and this is the very like I said, the old way of thinking, like nature, right? Like nature is king. The gods made the earth for all men to share. Only when the kings come with their crowns and steel swords, they claimed it was all theirs. My trees, they said, you can't eat them apples. My stream, you can't fish here. My wood, you're not to hunt. My earth, my water, my castle, my daughter, keep your hands away or I'll chop them off. But maybe if you kneel to me, I'll let you have a sniff. You call us thieves, but at least a thief has to be brave and clever and quick. A kneeler only has to kneel.
And I think this is kind of like a good take, like a good anti, like the king's
take.
Yeah. Like the kings are just taken out of your pocket and like being like, oh, we provide protection, but taken out of your pocket and like not like there's wealth inequality on your side. Like we really don't. She's kind of saying we don't have the wealth inequality problem. Like our standard of living, maybe in general, is what you would consider different and lower. But like the kings are robbing you guys blind. Like they're not like as nice as you guys think they are. They took all the shit and just like,
which is a very like.
She's also
like,
just
this is on the nose
kind
kind of thing.
She's also just finger pointing at all the kneelers in general, like all of
modern
you guys
connection.
who buy into that.
I mean, there's two coins. There's
system.
Two sides to the coin because I'm sure there's when you do need defense and the crown does come and save you, right? Instead of just like, oh, I lost, fine, I'm gonna be dead now because I lost to the other wildling. You know. You have that protection.
You like roads, fire, right? Like firefighters.
Tall
are pretty
buildings.
nice to
you
have
like to
available.
Put a third floor on your house
nice
in case you have 9 kids.
Yeah,
it's nice to have public services. So I mean, like, there's definitely arguments to be made both directions.
The interesting part is John tries to argue with the point of, all right, what if the man that stole you is like really mean and drunk and doesn't treat you right? And she's like, well, a dumb drunk mean guy wouldn't be able to steal me. So if the person that did steal me would be super clever and smart, and I would be lucky.
So yeah, there's like some nuances to this conversation. I think it's interesting. He says like, what if the person who took you, you hated it? And she's like, well, if they took me, then they'd have to be strong and quick and like clever, or else I wouldn't.
So I wouldn't hate anybody.
So
like
why
that.
would I hate somebody like that? Yeah. And then John gets into like, what if they're just like really stinky? Or she's like, well,
then
I'd
wash him.
Yeah, I just push him in.
What if he hits
creek.
you?
Well,
then
and
I would
dudes are
kill
supposed to
him.
smell like shit anyway. She says.
So part of I think what you're getting at here is women aren't nearly as like lesser in their society as like the women in John's society are. Right, like a woman in a relationship really can't do these types of things, right? She can't go like if she's the queen, she can't go push the husband into a river. That would be, you know what I mean?
Treason.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he wouldn't stink. No,
some kings would just kill the queen for that, right? Because the king is still on a higher level. Here, it's just like we're kind of equals. We're both physically capable. We'll just fuck you. Like I'll fuck you up, just like he'll fuck me up.
Free folk.
And then I think she gets into what Jeff was saying there. Or John gets into what Jeff was saying there. What if he's cruel, right?
What if he was brutal or cruel? He tightened his grip to make a point. What if he was stronger than you and liked to beat you bloody? And she's just like, well, I'd cut his throat while he slept. Like, no hesitation. Like, I'd kill you.
Yeah.
Well, then she goes on to say, well, yeah, go ahead.
A man can own a woman or a man can own a knife, but no man can own both. Every little girl learns that from their mother. So basically, like, you can have a woman or you can be like cruel and aggressive, but if you have a woman and you try and be cruel and aggressive to her, you're not going to last long in our society. And I don't know if this is like, I think Egret here is being like a little bit, well, I think some of the things we've seen before are like telling, right? Like she says that like one time I think someone did try and take her, but
her dad, right?
Longspear Rick,
brother?
I think just like broke his arm and like sent him off. So I think it's like, even if the woman like couldn't protect himself from somebody who was cruel and like an asshole, like there's like a tribesmanship.
There might be
within these
a
people
man in your family
exactly who are looking out for you.
That is,
like, no, get the fuck out of here, bum. Exactly. So it's not just like
women
You know what I mean?
defending themselves all over.
You could see this kind of going a little bit wrong if it was just the way Eagret's saying it here. But I think, yeah,
I
there's a
don't
little
know.
bit
I
more
could
like
see Egret
tribalship. Well, yeah, for
doing
sure.
anything.
Everyone
Egret's-
sleeps.
Everyone does sleep at some
But
point.
pretty much, yeah. John's like, yeah, I mean, that's a great thought, but that's not how the world works, right?
Right. But
Yeah.
That's what he's thinking. He doesn't say this, and
Well,
then
he looks around. He's like, "Is anybody around? Nobody's around." And she's like, "You can't win this. This is a
well, not
losing
yet.
battle for you guys."
Well, before that, she's like, Manson's going to show you guys the proper way to live. Like, we're changing your mind here once we win this war. And he's like, you got no fucking chance.
He's
What
like,
are you guys doing?
Looks over his shoulder, make sure no one's around. Like, he's like, "For real, let's be eye to eye here."
which is a pretty big mistake, right? Like, you guys are never gonna win this.
Yeah.
Like, but he's supposed to be one of them.
She's like, "You haven't seen us fight. You don't understand." She's also sprinkling in a few nothings, right? Like that's her thing.
That's
I don't know if we mentioned it. There's probably
Which I mean,
happened already 3 or 4
I've
times.
learned that by now, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's just that's
She
her
said
thing.
that enough to you, Kyle?
Yeah, but sometimes she's wrong, right? Like, at first it kind of felt like Jon Snow, like, shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. But like sometimes here it's like, I don't know, man. Like John's definitely the one
Jon
that has the
knows
better
some
point.
things for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
When he's basically saying like, "You guys can't win. You're all like, you guys are all gonna die." She's like, "All of us."
Yeah.
Like, you're one of us now. You're not a crow
You're
anymore.
not a crow anymore. Remember?
I vouched for you, so it's not just like your honor on the line anymore. It's kind of what she's saying to him.
And basically now he thinks like, damn, what would she do if I did tell her the truth about what my whole plans were here? Like, how would she actually react?
Yeah, and this is where she also just pushes him against a tree and kisses him in front of everybody. People are like hollering at her, right?
Yeah, I mean, she knows how to play the game for sure. Like,
Yeah.
I think she sees when the wall is coming down some, and she has to build it back up, right?
Yeah. Well, doesn't she say here, like, I knew that, like, you weren't always, like, what you said you were, but, like, now you are, right?
I swore you weren't, so you better not be.
It might be a little bit ahead.
I think it might be
You
a
are
little ahead,
mine,
'cause
mine
I
as
don't
I'm
think
yours, and if we die, we die. All men must die, Jon Snow, but first we live.
Yep. And he's like, first we live.
I don't think that's what you were saying, though, Nelson.
No,
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit ahead.
Yeah.
So we get a little bit of their trek, right? Like they climbed down from Greyguard. You mentioned that from the map.
Yep.
And they wanted to walk unnoticed through the gift. And here he's just kind of thinking of the half hands words. He thinks of this over and over again, right? Of
Yeah, this comes up a lot in this chapter.
Ride with them, eat with them, fight with them for as long as it takes.
yep.
He thinks he rode with them pretty far. That's to the it's from where they were
Check,
to the
I don't
wall.
have to do that anymore.
Well, I think it's interesting because it does cover his journey, right? And it's
Now I
like
can peace
subtly.
out at the end of this, right?
Well, and it subtly covers it because he rode with them, but only to the wall because they couldn't take the mounts past the wall. Then he walked with them, right? And he's like, "Fuck!" But I haven't had to fight with them yet, and hope it doesn't come to that. And I think it's a little bit of foreshadowing because like that's literally what the rest of the chapter is about. Is like them trying to make him go that last.
Yeah. All right. So we learn a little bit about how the Magnars and the Thens have been treating him. Right? They like don't trust him at all.
Yep.
And every night he gets asked about Castle Black, and he's got to be very careful about kind of what he's given is true. He wants to try to lie to help his brothers, but
Yeah, because Greg the Goat and Eric have been here before, so they know some true stuff. So he can't lie too much, or else they'll be like, "No, I know that's not true." So he has to like kind of give him some information. But he's like, "Yeah, the truth isn't that good."
it's basic ass castle. It's barely a castle. It's a bunch of fucking broken down
It's mostly ruins.
apartments, basically.
Yeah, even like where Mormont used to live had that burned up, right, because of the white attack, and he wasn't even living there right before they left to go north. So like, yeah, everything's fucking. The ruins are getting more ruined.
It's like one house,
it should
one
be going
building
the other
left.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he took 200 people with him.
Oh yeah, the best people.
Yeah,
the fucking
actual
army.
fighters.
He took
Yeah.
he took the army north. So
400 remained at Castle Black, but they were mostly stewards and builders.
Yeah, and Nelson gets his favorite part of the chapter. He gets to say all the names that are coming
List of
up.
names: Blind Maester
one-armed
Aemond,
Donald Noy.
Half-Blind Clytus, One-Armed Donald Noy, Drunk Septon Celador, Deaf Dick Follard, Three-Finger Hob the Cook, Old Sir Witten Stout, Halder Toad Pip, Abbott, nickname is Pimple, and the rest of the boys from John's training class. And commanding them all was Bone Marsh, the plump Lord Steward, who had been made Castellan in Lord Mormont's absence. And Dolores had a funny comment about about Bone Marsh, because Bone Marsh is the Lord Steward, so he's really good at counting. And they call him the old pomegranate, because he's really red. And John thinks that it's as fitting name for him as it is the old bear is for Mormont.
I was wondering why he was the old pomegranate. I
Yeah.
didn't remember because he was
He's
red.
red-faced. Yeah.
That's pretty fun.
The best part about being in the Night's Watch is you're guaranteed to get a nickname.
Nickname.
No one doesn't have a nickname.
Yeah. So Ed had joked that he's the man you want in the front when there's foe in the field because he'll count him up in a jiffy. He's a regular demon for counting. So he's like, yeah, we're not looking great at Castle Black.
And it's just like if they get taken unannounced, like they're dead. Like they don't have a chance if they don't know an attack.
But we did just see Mormont die not too long ago, so it's not like not like there's much better option out there. It's not like he can come home.
Exactly. Well, that's what John was thinking before. That was like, I don't even know.
Well, he doesn't know.
He's like, maybe some of them people got back, but I don't know.
Well, we know that he's not. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and we know most of them. Yeah, probably are because
Yeah.
most of them didn't even make it off the fist. But there's only like 50 of them that made it to the Crasters, and then there was a huge fight that happened there. So,
Infighting. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so which brings him to his next conflict, which is how am I going to warn them, especially
I'm the
when
only
I can't.
chance they have.
I'm the only chance they have, and I can't even escape because every night I'm playing cuddle buddies with Egret,
Exactly.
which I kind of like.
yeah. Has some pros.
And he kind of is starting to get a little connection with not the Thens, screw the Thens, but I kind of like Charles Raiders, man. I'm getting to know him.
I think a little interesting throwback here, John, when he's thinking about laying with Egret all the time, she was his joy and despair. Sometimes he would lay there wondering if his Lord Father had felt this confused about his mother.
Yeah, it was a cool
little Ned throwback there, yeah. So he's thinking, Egret set the trap, Mance pushed him in, and we get some more list of names, right? He's learning all these other wildlings, and he's like kind of becoming friends with them. He doesn't like it.
Arok.
Gaunt, Quiet Arok, Gregarious, Grig the Goat, Court, Bogger, Hempen Dan, the Rope Maker. The worst was Dell, a horse-faced youth close to John's age who would talk of his girl and that he wanted to steal. He said she was lucky because she had red hair like Egret. I think I probably said this before, but George R. R. Martin has a thing for red-haired girls.
So yeah, John the whole time he's like, "Man, fuck! Stop telling me about your family. Like I gotta kill you later.
I gotta betray you soon. Stop telling me anything about you."
Yeah, John doesn't want to know about Dell's girl, Bodger's mom, where Hank the Helm had come from, or how Grig the Goat wanted to visit the Green Men on the Isle of Faces, or how once a moose chased Towfinger up a tree, or the boil on Big Boil's arse, or how much ale Stone Thumbs could drink, or how Court's little brother had begged him not to go. So yeah, John's like, it's like he's just becoming buddies with all these guys. And
so now that we know how this chapter ends, now's a good time to probably talk about like Bodger. He cuts his hand off, right?
Bodger's face dissolved in a welter of blood. That's who he hacked.
Yeah,
because he like grabbed his leg or something. Yeah,
grabbed his ankle and he hacked at his arm.
I don't know. When we were reading through these, I was like, "Oh, that's right. Who's he messing with?"
It's a good thought. We'll keep an eye out later when we get to it. Yeah. But the one that I don't know dies is Dell, and it's the one that here John says worst was Dell, the horse-faced youth who talked about and he dies.
He's about his age.
Dell took the L to Summer.
Yeah, yes.
The throat. Okay.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's kind of I guess what I'm getting at.
Like, exactly. Like this. Exactly.
This
was 100% foreshadowing for like 2 pages from now. Yeah.
All right, so he also thinks about his old buddy pal Ghost. Haven't dreamed about you in a little bit there.
Yep, because we said goodbye to him north of the wall, and he's like, did he get back to Castle Black, or did he just like fuck off and now he's the king of the woods, basically?
The king. Yeah. He could fuck it. Yeah, he just ruined everybody else. Yeah. He's definitely in charge wherever he is.
Well, John thinks he shows up later at first. He's like, no, that doesn't make sense. I know. It's a huge wall. Yeah.
No. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be dope if Ghost just like clawed his way up the wall?
All right, I've been laughing about that the whole time because John does say, had Ghost jumped the wall? I'm pretty sure he says something like that. It's like, are you fucking kidding me, John? Exactly. Like, you think Ghost
in that moment,
All right, and then he gets broken up and Len, who has some wildling witch powers, sees a storm coming, so we got to take some shelter.
Yeah, he's like the Jojin, I guess, of this crew. He's like sniffing the air. He's like, there's a storm coming.
Well, you can definitely smell when a storm's coming. That's a fact.
Well, sometimes if it's a bad one.
All right, so let's take some shelter. Where should we find a broken down inn with no roof?
Exactly. Yep. And lightning's flashing around. They can see a round tower in the middle of the lake, but there was no boats around, so there was no way to get there. So
and
again,
they're
like
just fucking apple tree, and
It's smushed.
Jeff talked about this before in the last time. Like, there's got to be a decently sized lake. I always picture this as a relatively small lake, but it's got to be like decently sized if swimming is not just like a
If
very
swimming's
viable
we
option.
can't swim. We all
Yeah.
can't swim out there. Like, it can't be like
John does bring it up later, so it's not.
well, I was gonna say
it's not
even
like
your
miles.
greet's kind of like,
Yeah, but I
it's a
think
little-
it's not like a 100-yard swim. It's like kind of in the middle there. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Even your greet's like, that's kind of far from me. Like,
Yeah.
maybe we don't do that in this weather. Like,
yeah, and there's probably waves. I mean, imagine the waves in
far,
like a lake with a storm like that. It's probably not easy. Like, shut up, John. You can't swim.
But yeah, so we get the description of the same village that Bran was in, basically, like Kyle was saying, broken down inn, rotting apples.
There's an old man.
There's an old man here
at a fire.
At a fire. Yep. Go make a perimeter.
go figure.
And
right?
John's thinking like, "Fuck, I'm gonna have to fight with them." But luckily, by the time he gets there, like he thinks the fighting's done. Like, okay, it was only one guy. They had
It
seen
didn't
to
even
it.
sound like the guy fought. He was like, "Fuck,
Well,
I'm over."
yeah,
here."
just an old dude, right? Like, and we saw this happen in Bran's chapter. It was an old dude came like kind of stumbling in, and then this other group of people showed up without a horse, and now here they are taking over.
Yeah. So John, when he walks by and he just sees them like throw the man down and they're going through saddlebags. He thinks to himself like, "Damn!" Like he remembers Corn's words. He's like, "Am I actually just supposed to sit here and let them kill this guy?" Like he thinks about like that. At first, he thinks like I have to intervene almost. Then he kind of just like, you know what? Out of sight, out of mind. Let me fuck off.
They haven't
Kinda-
decided to kill this guy yet.
And John's like, I just want to get out of here before anything that would make me want to jump in happens. So he kind of, I think, fucks off here.
For
Fucks
sure,
off-
right? Like,
fucks off to sit by the lake.
Yep.
What's crazy is they just sit out in the pouring rain. He's just like chilling, getting rained on.
I think it said it's under a spot where it was dry.
yeah, he somehow managed to find a dry spot. He said,
Yeah.
Lucky them.
but still, you're right. Like, it has to be wet.
And
So
and John, when they talk about swimming, is like, well, we can't get any more wet.
Yeah.
Wetter,
Well, and they
more wet.
like that inn doesn't even have a roof, right? Like that's why Bran didn't stay there. So like they were
Exactly,
getting wet no matter
Not
what.
many dry spots down in this village, yeah. So lightning's flashing, crashing around like it was in the Bran chapter. They can see like the tower when the lightning flashes, and John
Is that
tells
our
her,
tower?
John tells her to look. She's like, "Oh, what's up with that tower? You talking about the yellow around the top?" I don't know if they say it right away, but they get on kind of quick.
I think she
It
sees it a
doesn't
little bit
matter.
later.
Yeah.
She is mentioning, she's like, "Oh yeah, somebody heard noise out of that tower."
Oh, thunder.
Thunder is what
Couldn't
John
have been
says, yeah.
anything. No yelling. Couldn't have been a man yelling. No one lives up there.
John, I think it's funny here. John suggests maybe it's ghosts, which is funny because not to John. I don't think John
it's
actually.
ghosts, plural, not ghost the wolf.
No, but ghost because Bran is a ghost is
Yeah.
what Nelson's saying.
Exactly.
Right? Like
yeah,
he's
Not to
technically
John.
dead.
John probably hasn't got
Yeah.
the news that Bran died actually, like
Right,
that
right,
Bran
right.
fake died. But yeah, everyone said down south thinks Bran died, so I think there could be a little play on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean for sure this was to like put them close together, right? Like
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
a literary device. Like they didn't have to be here, but it was.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool that John is like, yeah, we can swim out there, and you're just like, oh, you're just trying to get me naked. And he's like,
Exactly.
well, I don't even think we'd have to swim if we're at the spot where I believe we are, and we get the same like causeway history, right?
Exactly. Yep. And she's like, "What kind of southern sorcery are you talking about?" Because he doesn't explain the causeway right away. So he's like, "Yeah, we could just walk out there." She's like, "What are you talking
I'll
about?
fucking walk on water now. You got towers taller than this. And I can
Jesus
just
shit.
walk out to
Yeah.
the water. You're like, all right.
And John's about to explain, and then lightning strikes the lake. Is Bran gonna? Is there another Bran chapter? Is Bran gonna fucking escape Winterfell to just get zapped by lightning in this tower in a
Get
John POV?
zapped. Get out of here.
Dude, it strikes a tower later.
So?
Striking the lake. If you're striking,
Get on the
if
ground.
lightning
Get
strikes
your
the lake, does it
rubber-soled
kill all the
shoes on.
fish? How does that work? Does it kill
No.
the fish or just
No, it doesn't kill all the fish. Can't.
Yeah, what if it strikes the ocean? Just kills everything inside the ocean.
There's no way. There'd just be no fish left ever. It would just.
Yeah, it's true. Maybe like the fish right there might go belly up.
Yeah, I mean, obviously not, but I don't
Google
know
it.
how, I
Nelson.
don't know
Do
how it
some
doesn't
research
work like
on
that.
us and bring it back.
Yeah, that's a science question. We don't know.
Do they see the crown now?
Yeah, so she sees it. She's like, yeah, there's yellow paint up top. And John tells the story. Yep, this is Queen's crown. Queen coming stayed here one time. Queen Alysanne, wife of King Jaehaerys, who they called the Old King because he reigned a long time, but he was actually young when he started. But one time he came to Winterfell, and his queen rode her dragon Silverwing to the wall. He stayed here on the way.
Yep.
Which, I mean, we heard all this in the brand.
Yes,
right?
we did.
Pretty much.
And so they gave her this tower because she stayed there.
Well, I like how he's like, yeah, that was good Queen Alysanne, they said. And she's like, well, if she was fucking good, she would have tore the wall down. Bullshit. Like, what a dumb name.
One thing I don't think
Wall
we heard
protects
last
us
time
from
was that
you.
she renamed one of the gates on the wall from Queen's Gate, or they renamed it
They
after
renamed it for her.
from Snowgate to Queen's Gate. Yeah,
Correct.
but yeah, so Igor's like, she should have torn down the wall. John's like, no, that would have been a bad idea. And he's actually thinking of the others as one of the reasons why. Like, yeah, the others, you for one reason, but also the others.
He starts to talk about Tyrion.
Yep.
Yeah,
We haven't heard
little
about,
mention
like,
of.
yeah.
I had
Tyrion
another
dreaming of
friend who
dragons.
dreamed of dragons, a dwarf. But yeah, cut off.
He
Then's
told
like,
me, Jon
"Ragnar wants you."
Snow.
Yeah.
Yep,
I wonder
so-
what did Tyrion tell him? Because
I
they're
don't
talking about
remember.
dragons.
I don't remember.
I was to say it had to be something about the dragons.
I don't remember what Tyrion told him about dragons.
Did he just say sometimes I dreamed about him? Like I've never seen one and I want to, and sometimes I dream about him. Was it something like that?
Well, Tyrion definitely did say that, but I forget like what else he told him. Because here they're talking about Jon was telling her how the last one died 100 years ago, which again is funny because we know not the last. We got our girl across the ocean's got a bunch right now, but a handful, maybe not a bunch.
She's got 3.
Yeah, she's got a few. So yeah, Magnar wants him. John's like, fuck. Jon goes over there. Ygritte comes with because she's always just shows up, and when the Magnar's like, why are you here? She's like, I'm a free woman. I go where the fuck I want. Get my face. So
I mean,
there
she's
too.
definitely been a benefit to him so far.
She's probably
her
kept
being
him
at every
alive
meeting.
to this point.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So they're there with the old man.
Jon, kill this old man.
Yep.
You need to. And Jon obviously hesitates, and he's a little taken back because the old man doesn't ask for mercy. He's just kind of sitting there waiting to take it. He's lived a good life, maybe.
Man doesn't say shit. He's just like
Guy's
sitting there
just
like
tired
fuck.
of sitting in the rain, walking around on an old horse.
Jon does wonder if he can see that everything except his cloak is black. Basically, like, and by night all cloaks are black. So basically, he's like, "Oh fuck, I wonder if this
supposed
guy
to be
knows I'm
protecting
in the
you.
Night's Watch. Yeah, I'm supposed to be.
I'm
protecting
supposed to
you,
protect
exactly.
you, and now I have to kill you.
Yeah,
Which is kind of funny, though, as well, but because, like, if he kills this dude, nobody's going to know.
yeah,
Right.
but still, this guy knows for a few seconds.
I know
before
what
he
you're
gets
saying.
murdered.
I get it.
Before the
Yeah.
afterlife.
And John will know, for sure. So,
Yeah,
I get
it's
it.
like if you're who was the guy in Pocahontas, the good guy,
John
that marries Pocahontas,
John
John
Smith?
Smith?
It's like if you're like one of John Smith's like cronies and you got captured by the Native Americans, and then all of a sudden like John Smith comes out of the woods and like kill him, and you're like fuck, like you know he's like on your side, and he's about to kill you. It's like that.
Okay.
Why did you pick?
Pocahontas.
Because you were saying it's like the natives.
Okay. So you just.
You pulling
All right.
Pocahontas out is pretty crazy, though. I'm surprised you've even seen Pocahontas.
Great movie.
Even Jeff is taken aback. All right. I'm not alone on
Pocahontas
this
is
one.
a legit movie for sure.
All right. We're not arguing the legitimacy of Pocahontas as a movie.
All right. So one interesting part about this whole deal is Longclaw felt heavy to him. I just thought that was kind of metaphoric, right?
Yeah.
And then we keep going, and he remembers
Another cool throwback I think here is
Ned.
well, I was gonna say the fire. It's only a small fire to cost this man his life. And a lot of times we've heard, even Bran last chapter, you can't have a fire. Corn north of the wall. Sometimes it's life, sometimes it's death. Here it was
that
death for
cool.
this guy.
And then Ned remembers Ned having to kill the deserter right in front of him, and he remembers kind of everything about his dad in that moment.
Yep.
And then the Magnar calls him a crow, kind of calling him out. You're not with us.
So
We
like,
even Ygritte. She says, "Do it, Jon Snow. You must, to prove you are no crow, but one of the free folk." An old man sitting by a fire.
yeah. Well, hold on. I think going back to the Ned thing real quick, it's interesting because like in our eyes, the guy that Ned killed, I mean, he was a deserter, but like we don't hear the conversation they have. Like we know that guy just saw the others. You know what I mean? Like, what if he's saying to Ned, like, yo, there was the others, and Ned's like, sorry, dude, like, you gotta die. It's not the same as this.
I
but,
honestly think Ned. I mean,
like,
no
Ned
matter
fucked up
what
there.
he said,
I think
like,
Ned
if
fucked
that-
up there. Ned
if
should have heard that guy out
well,
more.
hold on. We know Ned. If that guy said an asteroid is coming to this planet to destroy us, and he was right, Ned would be like, all right, thanks for the information. I still have to kill you. You deserted the
I guess that's
Night's
true.
Watch.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Why couldn't you stop? Why couldn't you
You
stop
broke
at the
a
wall and
single
write me a
rule.
letter? Is what Ned would have said.
That's true. Okay, fair.
So
So
I
yeah,
think
a man sitting by a fire. Oh, sorry.
one part to John thinking about Ned is that Ned always said that the person who
Exactly.
Past the sentence should swing the sword.
Exactly.
So,
And here, John can't do that.
He should have brought that out to
I don't know. That would have helped his case. I don't know.
Well, I don't know if he should have said it, but
You're
I think
right.
That's kind
You're
of
right.
the
That is a great
that's
thing.
The whole
that
like mentality of the chapter, or this part of the chapter, right? Is like John is looking at this guy and can't kill him.
It would have been a great thing for him to say, but it wouldn't have helped his case.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So back to where we were. A man sitting by the fire, and she's like, "That's what you already did that, John. There was Aurel was sitting by the fire when you
that's a great. That was a great point too by her.
No,
it's
it wasn't.
very fair. What?
I think
It
it's slightly
wasn't.
different.
This is the military versus just some random dude again.
Yeah.
Like we've had this argument.
But
I feel like something.
Egret and them are in a military type of deal. Like
That's what I'm saying. This dude is not. This is just some old dude.
Well, no, but that's why I'm saying like. Hey, you've already killed Aurel because of your fight. Like, if you're fighting with us, like, kill this dude too. Like, you've already done it.
What Kyle's saying is that was military on military. This is military on civilian, basically.
Nah,
this
no
is
such
now.
thing.
But what Egret's point,
100% such thing. This is just some old dude trying to mind his own business.
What's this old man doing? Let's be clear here. This is uninhabited land. Why is this old man just walking around the new gift by himself with nobody else there? What's this guy doing? What's this weird old man guy doing up here?
He doesn't seem like he's doing much. He's got this like fucking lame old horse and just this tiny little fire, and he doesn't even have weapons. Obviously, he just got killed by these guys.
Okay, but this old man gets on his horse and goes to the closest person he knows, writes a letter to the Night's Watch, be like, "Hey, there's."
So you were pro kill. What if this was like, what if it was Arya here?
Yeah, sorry, Arya.
Kill her. She deserves to die. A little girl, just some random little girl was here by accident.
It's kind of like what happens in Lone Survivor, right? The kid comes up the hill and they're trying to. He's like goat herding, right?
Seen Lone Survivor.
I don't know what that is either, but
no,
the fact that he has a movie that parallels this situation.
Mark
is
Wahlberg's
just
in the movie. You should watch. Lone Survivor is phenomenal.
I mean, I see that point, but it's not a good point.
The point is that yes, he might not be military, but it's the same outcome. If we let this guy live,
he's a witness.
Happen.
You can't leave witnesses. I understand.
So hold on, let me throw this one at you guys. I don't think the comparison to Aurel is quite as fair as this guy is a comparison to Egret. Right? John couldn't kill Egret north of the wall.
Exactly.
Part of that, she blames that because she was a girl.
She believes that he should have killed her.
She didn't have to at that point. Like she was innocent because he even says to Corn, like, "Can't we take her with us?" And I think Corn's like, "No, like we're on a secret mission in the Frostfangs. We can't take a captive with us. Like, do what's got to be done." And John's like, I can't really do it," which is partially how she's not dead right now, right? Yeah. So I think she's a closer comparison to Aurel. I think it's still the woman thing. I think was also a factor in it. So I don't know if it's a straight comparison, but it's interesting.
So Magnar basically calls him a crow and Egret his crow wife, and that really pissed her off. So she's like, "I'm no crow's wife." Bam, knife, slit throat, done.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
You know nothing.
There's a blade at his feet. Yep.
And then,
our worlds are completely different, right? That just is the final hammering home of what we've read the entire chapter. Right? Like,
lightning crashes.
Magnar, old tongue, something to some thens. John doesn't know what he's saying. He would never know. And death leapt down amongst them. Badass line.
So we get a little bit more than we get out of the Bran chapter.
Yeah, so the Bran chapter ends like, and the smell was like, and Summer smelled fear or whatever, right? So it's like, it's interesting because I still am not exactly sure whose fear it was. It depends on the timing. It could have been the old man's fear. It could have been John's fear. It could have been.
The old guy didn't seem scared.
Yeah. I guess it was John's fear.
The old guy didn't seem scared for sure.
So he jumps down. John's like, "Ghost." This is the part Kyle was mentioning earlier. He's like, "Oh, Ghost jumped the wall."
He says fucking Ghost jumped the wall. He said Ghost. He thought for one mad instant, Ghost leapt the wall.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Then I saw it was gray and I knew it wasn't. It couldn't be Ghost.
And then he's like, holy shit, did Rob's wolf come up and save me?
Yeah. Then the lightning crashed again and he saw the wolf standing on Dell's chest and it was gray. So that's when Dell, that's probably it for Dell.
Dell took the first.
Yeah.
And
so they're running, grabbing spears at it. The old man's horse was rearing.
Well, it sounds like the wolf's fucking stuff up in the background, right? Like,
well, we see
it's more than just
it didn't stop for sure.
Yeah. I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean,
so John bolts for the horse. He already has long claw in hand.
Somebody grabs him.
Someone yells for him. He can't tell for once he gets on the horse, right? Someone's yelling for him. He can't tell who it is, Egret or Magnar.
I mean, I think he's just saying, like, I have no fucking clue who it was, right? Like,
So
Not specifically the two
here
of them.
he's like, he slices someone in the back of the leg to get the horse. He uses his offhand, so his left hand, to mount the horse.
Unbelievable.
Bareback, right?
Unbelievable feat by him.
Jeff's never seen Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers, but Kyle, you've seen the Lord of the Rings: Two Towers, and there's like a ridiculous part. I don't know if you remember, but where Legolas like grabs like a horse that's running by
the
and, like,
mane,
while he has a
zips
bow
up,
in his right hand and like flips around the horse. It's kind of what I
that
always
was
pictured here.
That was
like
how
John,
my mental image as well, and I honestly didn't really remember that scene until you said it, but that makes perfect sense that it came from there. Yeah,
Orlando Bloom's character, the blonde elf.
Yeah, the blonde elf. He's like a ridiculous mounting of a horse. Yeah, so I always picture that here. So John has mounted the horse, and this is where Bodger reaches up and John just slices down and
Bye
blood.
hand.
Yep. So he's dead. There's no Macers with them.
Yeah, probably dead. I will agree.
We know what happens if you don't have a hand, Jamie. And he wouldn't have made it long if he didn't run into the Macer that deals with all the people
the
with
fever
cut
was
off
gonna
hands
take you.
because of Vargo. Yeah. So spears are flying, arrows are going. He's trying to steer the horse, doing his best to hold on because there's no saddle.
If he doesn't have the horse, he knows he's gonna get hawked
bad,
down too.
Very bad. Because then what? He gets probably tortured.
Well, he's already shown his cards here, right? He definitely like
he was
pretty
a
much
traitor
said,
the
no,
whole
fuck.
time.
Yeah,
so they're
exactly,
gonna torture his ass to get the actual information out. Yeah.
Do you think John just offs himself if that was the case?
no.
How? I mean, you might try, right? It'd be bad if they start like ripping
It's
your
more of a
fingernails
how
off and
is-
figure out that you have blind people guarding, but blind people in the old pomegranate guarding Castle Black. They'll be attacking tomorrow. You know what I mean? So yeah,
I don't know that
might.
John would give him that
If he had
information.
cyanide
either.
pill,
I think
if
he
they
would,
start peeling off his fingernails and stuff, like ripping out his teeth.
do you think Bran and who else out there?
Summer at the
Mirror
pop
and
off and kill
Jojin?
all these guys? That's it. I mean, maybe Summer is popping off and killing all these guys. I mean, but there's like 100 of them, right? And there's like
Yeah, I
50
don't
to
know.
100
Is there
of these.
that many of
I think there's like 50 to 100 of them.
Oh well. I mean, how many Thens there were? I guess is the question.
Yeah.
All right, so he gets out of there, and when he gets a chance to slow down a little bit, he sees, holy shit, I got an arrow in my leg.
Yeah. Have you seen, what old school? I think it's, for some reason, it's one of my funniest lines in old school. It's like when Will Ferrell shoots himself with the dart gun at the party, and the guy's like,
I think there's a
it's
dart.
like, dude, you got a dart in your neck. John's like, fuck, I got an arrow in my leg. Hours later, John's just now realizing there's a fucking arrow in his leg.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's just to
the
describe how
adrenaline.
hectic it was, right?
Yeah.
Like that was kind of.
What John thinks that is interesting is he's like, it's a good thing it hit my leg. If it
If
would
it
have hit
hit
the
horse,
horse,
I'd be
Well,
done.
that yeah. Or Tyrion, right?
You know what's also interesting is I just saw a video scrolling through my phone, so I'm gonna take it for what it's worth. It's from the internet, but people that get shot sometimes don't feel it for like a little bit, like the adrenaline and the rush of being in the situation. You don't actually feel the pain of the bullet until you've had a chance to slow down. So
I mean, I think that's like a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
That kind of goes back to
Yeah.
what Nelson was
I
saying,
can
where
see
like
it.
just the adrenaline, you're just like, I'm fine, and then like later it's,
yeah,
oh, my leg's fucked up, right?
I'm sure it
Absolutely.
depends on the situation. If you're like fucking around with like a
Yeah.
gun and you actually put one in your foot, then I'm sure you'd feel that. But
yeah. Well, I guess
If you're,
the
like,
point
in
is
combat, then
the
yeah, I
point
can
is
see
if
it.
you get shot and you didn't know you got shot. It's not like
Yeah.
you saw, like if you knew there was shooting going around and you're running for it and you might get a Forrest Gump bullet to the butt, like maybe there's a chance you don't feel that. If you see you get shot, I'm sure there's a little bit different psychology there. I don't know.
I honestly don't even know though, right? Like,
Because Forrest Gump
That's
just thought a
such-
snake jumped up and bit him. He didn't even jump. Forrest Gump didn't know he got shot.
Something bit me.
that's such a foreign concept, right? Like getting stabbed or shot. Like I have nothing.
I can only think
no
of,
frame
like,
of reference for that, right? None.
When I broke my collarbone, I knew something was wrong, but it didn't
Yeah.
hurt, if that makes sense.
Well, there you go. That's
like in
the
the
same
middle
idea.
of a game, like
Yeah.
I was like, damn, that didn't sound right. I
Yeah.
can move my arm, but that didn't sound good. And
yeah,
like
something's wrong.
two quarters later, when I was like, okay, I'll stay at the game and support my teammates, I was like, this hurts so fucking
hurts.
I
bad.
gotta go to the
Take
fucking
me to the
hospital. Let's go. Yeah.
And all right, so the craziest part next is that he literally pulls this thing through his leg,
Yeah.
which
That would suck.
So, honest
Yeah.
question is, can you just like push it far enough, cut the end off, and then pull it back the other way? Like, I don't know.
I would think so.
Yes.
Like, wouldn't that be
probably.
shorter? I don't know.
Rather
I don't
than
know.
pull the feathers all the way through.
I guess cutting the end off is probably not easy either.
The whole feathers through. Yeah, that can't be sanitary either. What if one got stuck in there? Well, they would all. I feel like they would all get stuck in there. Like they wouldn't. The feathers wouldn't actually come through.
I guess the worry would be if you break it.
I don't know.
A splinter gets
They're
stuck
in there with what? Like
and
tree sap? They don't have fucking like super glue like nowadays. The feathers are definitely coming out. And you have like tree sap and shit.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know about that now. I think the bigger issue.
I guess they might be tied on too. Yeah,
it could be strapped on somehow. Exactly. I don't know.
I think the bigger issue would be a splinter getting stuck in the wound and then that infecting it.
Yeah, I think you're right though. I think like anytime I've seen Rambo pull an arrow through him, he like pulls the arrow head through, snaps it off, then pulls snaps it off on the other side.
I mean, the snap off has to hurt too, though,
sure,
right? Like
the
that
whole thing's
can't.
Jolting.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It actually gives me the skeeves thinking.
Then what Rambo does is he bites the tip off a bullet and he pours the gunpowder on the hole, either hole,
cauterizes it,
lights them on. Yeah,
a lot of movie references in here.
I don't think that I've looked that one up. I think that would be that bad for you, like putting gunpowder in an open wound. Like it would just get wet. It wouldn't actually light on fire. It would get like infected. Like don't do that. Don't actually follow that John Rambo.
You don't think Rambo is right?
I don't think putting gunpowder in an open wound's a good move.
All right.
I don't take much advice from Rambo, Nelson. Don't worry.
He does wonder who shot him.
Yes.
In the leg.
Could have been my girl.
Could it have been my girl?
Does she ever have a bow? Have we seen her with a bow?
I don't know. I was thinking that too. She's definitely. It's obvious in the show that she's an archer. But I was thinking that too. That I don't know if it was ever mentioned that she's like an archer in the.
Yeah, it's a good point, Nels.
In the books. But here we learn that she at least is dabbled, right?
She fletched her arrows with goose feathers. Yeah.
Yeah. So I still don't know if in the books there's any evidence that she's like good at it. I assume most wildlings probably have a bow and a sword. We know
but if she's fletching her in arrows, I feel like that implies some skill.
I mean, she just slit this guy's throat, so I don't think she's a stranger to knife or like sword fighting. So
yeah,
but yeah.
All right, so then he sees the ice dragon. Nels, what's the ice dragon?
Constellation.
Yep, Big Dipper basically.
Right,
it's a constellation with the North Star.
With the North Star, and he goes north.
Yep, going to the wall.
All right, Kyle, thoughts?
Like I said, I mean, I don't know. I wasn't really ready for this one yet. I knew it was coming. Right? Like, I didn't know when or how.
You knew John bouncing was coming?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, right? Like he's kind of Ned Jr. He's got maybe a little bit more flex. I would agree with that. If you wanted to argue that, I would.
Every time he lays with Egret at night.
I mean, even then though, he kind of still was like, okay, this is my wife now, right? Like he was still kind of Ned-ish.
Yeah, she was mine. Yeah,
but you knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. So when is the question? And this was a little early. Is all my earlier than I thought for sure. It definitely caught me surprised in that sense.
Things are rolling.
What do you think about Bran being right there? Being I don't know, however many.
Like I said earlier, away. I think that's more just like a plot device. I don't know that there's much significance in that otherwise. Other than just like
you don't
they
think
were
this is
next
gonna come
to
up
each
in the
other.
next Bran chapter? Like Bran is warging into Summer while Summer's literally ripping up all Jon's friends, like destroying Dell's life. He's never gonna steal that.
So okay,
girl.
so you've kind of changed my mind there. I guess is like, was he in Summer?
I wasn't actually even thinking about Bran seeing it through Summer. He
was. Saw it.
The chapter ends with him smelling fear.
Yeah,
right.
Through
yeah,
Summer.
but it didn't sound quite. Yeah.
And then death jumped down amongst them. Is the
yeah
what Jon says in this chapter. I think Bran's going to town. That's Bran in his dreams. Jojo's like, holy fuck, what is he doing out there?
If it's Bran, he's got to go. He's biting the shit out of Hodor or something. Exactly. He crawled over and he's biting him. I don't know, man. I like. Does he take Summer north? Does Summer run into Ghost?
Maybe you guys didn't. I missed it. Jon thinks that this for a second is Robb's wolf. He's like, I've never seen an animal move that fast.
Mention that. I said it super early, but I did mention it.
Yeah, it's like it was like a gray wind. It's like, is Robb back here? And does Jon ever come to the conclusion that it's
Summer?
No. I don't think he ever does.
He's like, oh, it was a dire wolf. It had to be, right? Like he said something like that because it was so big.
Yeah, I can't think of it now. Too much. I gotta get north. Yeah,
I gotta pull this arrow out of my leg.
Yeah, it was one of those. He definitely doesn't suspect it's Bran, right? Like, how could it be Bran?
Yeah.
to him.
Yeah.
That's his
Bran should be
way
safe
of
at
thinking.
Winterfell, right? Yeah.
Even if Bran
and
was
he's-
safe at Winterfell.
He's
no.
crippled, right? Like he knows about that,
Yeah,
right?
he's not traveling the north. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I don't know, but I was wondering how he like Shaggy Dog, like that was kind of the other side of it. You're right. We did read and it's been, like I said, it's been a couple weeks for us in terms of time between chapters read. I forgot that we did get the summer confirmation, obviously at the end of the last one, but it was like that was one of the things. It was like 90% summer, 10%. Oh, it could be Shaggy, but
what do you mean?
why not? Right?
If they
The
were,
Shaggy
if
Dog's
they
out
were
there
not
somewhere.
at Queensgate,
Shaggy Dog and Bran split paths at Winterfell.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't trust that Shaggy Dog went with Rickon. Like that fucking wolf did whatever it wanted to do.
Yeah,
Shaggy Dog's just
it's
out there
interesting
ad-libbing
because
on his own.
it's interesting because in the
that's what I'll
show,
bet. Yeah,
it's interesting because in the show, for some reason, Bran and Rickon don't actually split it way back at Winterfell. This is the chapter where they split.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, like they split like right after Jon and Bran cross paths, which is
Well-
weird. So just like a weird difference for no reason, but
See, I just predicted that. That's
There
what
you go.
happened. I just that was a show prediction
Yeah.
or crossover prediction.
yeah, pretty much.
So, it was good. So hopefully Summer like catches up to Jon somehow, right? Like that's the like the let's have this happen kind of way to go.
Yeah, catch
But
up to him, bite his bad leg,
Yeah, kill the horse, bite his bad leg as he's crawling away,
or
Yeah.
just do like the lassie, like just bark a bunch of times, like "Bah, bah, 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 bah." Like what is it, boy? Is there a crippled boy up in a tower? Okay,
Well,
take
no,
me to him.
I hope then Bran's face just like pops out of the side of a tree, right? And, like,
That already
like,
happened.
Yeah.
I know, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. We've seen it happen. So this
just
isn't
like
that crazy of a
Pocahontas.
prediction.
It's literally
Yeah,
Pocahontas. We're writing Pocahontas.
Pocahontas 2.0. Yep. All right. Well, that's what I hope happens. How about we'll leave it at that?
Deal.
That's my prediction.
All right. Well, we'll see Kyle in the next one for Danny 4, and we'll see the rest of you guys in the spoiler section. Bye, Kyle.
Bye.
All right. Later, nerds.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Bye, Kyle.
Bye, Kyle.
See you on the next one for Danny 4. What's she doing in that one?
She's gonna kill.
Taking over Young Guy, I guess. Yeah, I think she's taking
gonna
over Young
kill
Guy.
some masters.
Oh, she's taking over Young Guy. The Danny chapter after that might be one of my favorite Danny, maybe chapters of the book. It's the one where Barristan is revealed. And then and Jorah is revealed to be a scumbag.
Be a liar.
Liar. Oh, it's so good. And it's the one where Belwas kills the champion of Marine. It's such a great chapter. It's so good. It all happens. It's a long ass chapter. But
Oh god. All right, let's get into it.
yeah, spoiler section.
I
for
got
this
a
one.
little bit of history for you.
Go for it.
So the reason that theories believe that they changed the name Snowgate to Queensgate because this was the gate that they used to send all the bastard boys of the North up to
Yes.
give to the others.
Yeah, sacrifice. We talked about this theory in the last brand chapter. If you, we don't have to rehash it. If you, this is that piece of evidence. We didn't hear that evidence
Why are
in the
you
last one.
not giving me credit for bringing this theory up?
Great theory. We don't have to rehash that one though. Go listen to the brand chapter if you missed it.
I don't have anything else. What do we got?
I only
here?
have a few. What does Ned call the plan to him and Benjen gonna take back some of the gift and give that to some of the lords?
The New North,
He said that was a dream for spring. He tells John that was a dream for spring, which is gonna be
which
supposed
is
to be
going
the
to
book.
the next book.
Exactly. So and I think it's kind of funny if you look at where John ends in the show. He ends up going north and
To redo the watch, right? He's a nice.
he goes north of the wall, but there isn't really a wall anymore. At least,
Well, I
not
don't
the
think
whole way
that's
over.
actually the point of the ending of season 8 because I actually just watched the clip where he says goodbye to Arya and Sansa, and he's like, "You can come visit me at Castle Black." So
Okay, so he's gonna be like in the
I think
north.
he does go to Castle Black, and then he's like ranging north in that
okay.
in that last clip of him walking
Okay.
with them.
I can see that, but yeah, so it's kind of John does end up like holding a castle or tower in the north, Castle
Yeah.
Black though. But sure, if you go by the show, so I think it's kind of cool how maybe it does end up kind of that way. Like it does kind of end up where John's still in the north, just like chilling. But
I
yeah, I think it's just cool that
definitely see
it just names the book, right? We know the Dream for Spring is supposed to be the name of the last book. So
Yeah, we'll never see that book.
it's just like the Leo meme when he points.
Can
at,
you
they
imagine?
said it. They said the thing.
It's gonna be like 15 years till that book is even like rumored to be coming out.
Yeah, you know my thoughts on it. I think that George is writing all
He's
of
already
it.
done it. It's
Not that he's
done.
already done, but that he's not going to release Winds of Winter until he's completely done with all of them. I also think that it's not enough. I don't think 2 more books will be enough. I think it'll be Winds of Winter, something else, and then Dream of Spring. And I don't
because
think we're
of
gonna
the
get
length
those,
of it.
Just because, yeah. So literally the entire 5 books we've had so far, characters have been going further apart.
Mm-hmm.
Tyrion's as far as from home as he's ever been.
At some point, we
Right?
just gotta ride it. We just gotta ride a dragon.
Yeah, no one is really coming back in yet. So how does George think he can get everyone out in 5 books? It took 5 books to get everyone as far away from everyone as possible, but he's going to somehow get them back in 2.
Time jump. Timeline doesn't matter.
He was going to do a time jump. I think maybe he could have done it in 2 then, if you're just skipping a lot of that. But I think if he's...
do a 5-month time jump.
And if George... who knows? The thing is, don't put it past George. He said he wanted a 5-year time gap. Maybe he made the 5-year time gap, and he's like, you know what? Time to fill it in. And that's why it's taking so long. Because he's literally just spent, we're actually going to get 7 more books. I think that's a possibility. That's a very small chance possibility, but I think it's out there.
Well, AI. Good thing there's AI. We could finish this thing.
He's suing the AI. But all of these rest on, all of my thoughts on what the possibilities could be for George rest on, I don't think he's releasing anything until they're all done. And it's based on that one interview clip that I showed you where he basically says, like, yeah, the best way to release the fantasy series, if you didn't care about money, if, like, you didn't need to release the book to make money, to, like, feed yourself, the best way to do it would be write it all before you release any. Because then you can go back and change things and have people fact check you and, like, give it, like, make a small release to, like, he has Elio and Linda. He could give it to all of them for, like, here, you guys have this for 6 months. Go through all of it with a final.
I don't know who those 2 people are.
They're the people who help him write, like, the world books, and they control the wiki. He can be like, here, you guys have it for 6 months. Just read through it, go through it with a fine-tooth comb. Any inconsistencies, bring to me, and we'll fix them before the final release. Because I think the small things bug him. But
yeah. All right. I want to talk about something, just because I mentioned in the non-one, and it's the fact that Longclaw felt heavy. And it's kind of giving me Mandalorian vibes with the Darksaber.
Ooh, that's interesting. I'm not up to date on my Star Wars shows. I haven't watched Ahsoka.
Do you remember when Mando tries to wield the saber and it's like fighting him back?
I don't know if I've even seen the most recent Mando season, but I do remember seeing that in one season when he was like fighting another big Mando in like a base somewhere.
Yeah. That was 2 seasons.
Yeah, I don't think I'm up to date on my Mando, but I think I have seen. I know
that was actually Boba Fett. They had like a 2-episode Mando season during Boba Fett.
But I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's like if you're unworthy or if you're not holding it, if you're not wielding it right, then you it's heavier for you.
It's heavier.
But if you're wielding it right, it's like feather light. Yeah.
Any chance Longclaw's got a little magic to it?
I think it's kind of just. I think it's more to what you were saying about like the man who passes a sentence.
Longclaw did some weird shit though in the show. Remember, its eyes glittered when he came out of the water and shit.
It's a light trick. Next one, Castle Black has no wall. All right, so he says it's like a ruin.
Right.
When John gets back, I think the next John chapter is him defending the wall. There might be a middle one in there, but pretty soon John will be defending the wall from the wildling attack from the south. Then he's defending the wall from the wildling attack from the north, right? But when he's defending them from the attack from the south, his leg is fucked. He's like on crutches on the top of this tower with Deaf Dick Follard, I think, and he has a crossbow, and that's like what he's using when Ygritte attacks.
Yeah,
and he's thinking about how there's no wall. Like Castle Black purposely doesn't have a wall on the south side. It has a huge wall on the north side, but there's nothing on the south side, and it's because there's been like. The point is the Night's Watch take no part. One time, one of the Night's Watch was like, I'm the king of the North. I'm in charge now. And then Winterfell just rode north and fucked him up in a second because they have no wall. Like, they're not supposed to have a wall because they're back. They shouldn't ever have to defend themselves from the south.
That makes sense.
So I think it's just kind of interesting that John, it's another thing John's thinking about here, but he doesn't super explain yet.
Who kills Ygritte?
We don't know. John is just pretty sure it's not himself because the color arrow he's using isn't the same color that kills her. There's no Ollie character.
He's not holding her when she gets shot in the belly.
He just finds her body, and I think she has arrows.
That's a lot.
That's
a lot
arrows
stupider.
that on hers. I mean,
how great was that?
It's a little
scene?
Hollywood. It's a good scene. It's a good scene.
Everyone loves a little bit of Hollywood.
It is a good scene.
You probably cried during that.
I don't
scene.
hate the scene, and I think the Ollie character isn't a bad show addition either. I think he's a pretty
And
good.
Ollie was so proud that he had just shot that wildling.
I don't care about that. I think he's a good like small folk of the North perspective, right? John is sympathizing with the wildlings. It's good to keep like the sympathizer.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Ollie is a great. I think Ollie's a great character in the show. Yeah. If you remember earlier, that like he's struggling to even shoot the thing, and then he kills one, and he's like, "Oh my!" It's like your first headshot in Halo. You remember that feeling?
The worst part about that is like the episode before. Ollie asked Sam like, "The Lord Commander is doing something that like." Ollie's like, why is he helping the wildlings? And Sam's like, sometimes you have to do what you know is right, even if the others around you think it's wrong. Oh, that's before Ollie stabs John. Then Ollie goes and stabs John. He's like, you have to do what... Sam basically gives him this whole, like, you have to do what you think is right, even if, like, the people who... your betters are telling you it's wrong. And then Ollie stabs John. And you're like, okay, well, Sam kind of hyped him up for that one. But yeah, that's not. I was on the wrong.
Ollie got hyped up to kill John. It's Sam's fault. Are you blaming Sam?
Yeah, Sam is who convinced Ollie to kill John. Basically, yep.
All
right. Back to this chapter. When John thinks many a night he lay with Ygritte, warm beside him, wondering if his lord father had felt this confused about his mother, whoever she had been.
Ashara.
He doesn't say Ned. He says his lord father. So, I mean, Rhaegar, right? Did Rhaegar feel this confused about Lyanna? I mean, or it could be Brandon or Ashara or Ned or, but if we're getting real deep into the theories. But the main one is R plus L equals J. Did Rhaegar feel confused about Lyanna? Does that even make sense? Would he have been, did he have a reason to be confused? At that time, Elia was probably still alive. Yeah, for sure. Elia didn't die till after the Trident when Rhaegar died. So yeah, when Rhaegar was with Lyanna, Elia definitely would have been alive. But yeah, so like...
She did not die to the sack of King's Landing, right?
Exactly. So like when Rhaegar was with Lyanna, like he still had a wife, he still had kids with that wife. Yeah, like some people think some people think Elia and him had that conversation where, because like she couldn't have kids anymore. If he really believed in this prophecy, he might have already had sat her down and been like, yo, look, I'm not gonna have a kid with you because it'll kill you, right? But I need to have another kid, so I hope you're okay with that. And she might, who knows? Right. Maybe she was, maybe she wasn't. But yeah, and maybe that conversation never even happened. But interesting thought.
Yeah. All right.
John thinks that without Ghost, he is alone, and he doesn't want to die alone. Right. So it's interesting. He like, even though he's with Ygritte,
he doesn't think of Ygritte as with him.
Being with Ghost is more important, and he thinks he doesn't want to die. Yeah. But hold on, he doesn't want to die alone. What if John dies right now? Right, so John died, like, where we're at the end of book 5, John's dead. Do you know the leading theory on how John comes back and how that works?
The Red Woman?
The Red Woman's involved, but people think part of it is that John wargs into Ghost. Right?
Yeah, we talked about this. John is already in Ghost for a little bit, and then...
He's just been in Ghost until Melisandre somehow does something that makes his body open, and he can work back into his own body, basically.
Yeah.
I think this is interesting. He doesn't want to die alone, as if he doesn't want to die without Ghost, because then he can't
get brought back.
Then he's dead for real. If you die, if you poop in your dreams, you poop for real.
I would say that I would bet money that we do get a dead John warged in Ghost chapter.
I don't know about that. I mean, that'd be cool. I could see it. I mean, a lot of chapters start.
Just think about the chapter, like he's in Ghost, and then like he breathes back air, and bam, that's the end of that chapter. I could definitely see that being. It's like literally a Game of Thrones chapter. If it had to write itself, I just wrote it for you.
What you're saying? Like the last sentence is something that implies it's John and not Ghost anymore.
John, yeah, exactly.
But like the first 10 pages are all Ghost walking around Castle Black or something.
And a deep breath in, and he could smell like some apple fritters that somebody was eating
Three Fingers Hob
in the mess hall.
Yeah. Cooking bread, I could see that. That'd be cool. Because the thing is, I feel like we've never got like more than a few pages of wargame. Like sometimes we get it at the end of a chapter, sometimes we get it like I feel like a lot of Bran chapters start with like 2 pages of, oh wait, like it's because it takes you a minute to realize. you see Bran, you start reading, you're like 3 paragraphs in, and you're like, oh fuck, we're in Summer's body right now. Why? How the fuck would Bran smell the steel skin 3 castles away? Like, okay, fuck, we're Summer. Exactly. So yeah, I think that's a really cool line. Without Ghost, he is alone and he doesn't want to die alone. I think that's really interesting and a lot definitely hints at like the Warg
die
second
alone
wife thing.
Is interesting for sure, especially when he's in love with this girl.
Yeah.
He can't feel Ghost because of the wall, right? We've assumed that.
Yeah, the wall is the problem. Exactly. It's like a magical barrier, which again is kind of cool, but then I have questions on. We assume Bloodraven's meddling with a lot of stuff down south. How is he doing that? The theory there is he's doing weirwood magic, and weirwood magic
with the roots
is the roots which are going underneath. Exactly.
One more Ghost question. We don't see Ghost again, right?
Not until after Stannis comes to the wall.
So he does...
Which is at the end of this book.
He meets back up with Ghost. We get Ghost back in the Castle Black.
Yes, I think what happens is Stannis offers Jon Winterfell. It's like basically when Stannis is figuring out how to get the people of the north behind him. Yeah. He's like, okay, they'll follow Ned Stark's true son. I'll legitimize Ned Stark's true son. I'll marry him to Val, and then he'll reunite all the Northern Lords underneath me, and then I'll have their help, and then we'll go south, and I'll be the king of everything. That's kind of Stannis' thought. Jon is like, damn, this is everything I've ever wanted. Kind of even going back to this, where he's in this chapter where he's talking to Ygritte. He's like, oh, I want to take her to the Glass Gardens, and I want to give her a rose from the Glass Gardens, and I want to take her into the hot springs and stuff like that. He's like, but that's not mine. Winterfell was Rob's. Then when Stannis gives him this offer, he's like, this is everything I've ever wanted. It could be me. And then he has an urge to go north of the wall. He goes north of the wall, meets with Ghost. He comes back to Stannis. He's like, nah, I'm going to stay here, bro. I'm going to stay here and freeze my dick off. The next chapter, he becomes Lord Commander, so it ends up working out for him. But like, he basically makes a super irrational decision right after Ghost comes back. But I'm like 90% sure that's exactly when Ghost comes back, because there's theories that imply Ghost coming back is part of the reason he has some influence on Jon that makes him not take that deal.
Okay.
Ygritte tells Jon at one point in this chapter she has never seen a dragon. Does Jon count? Because Jon is a Targaryen.
Jon is a Targaryen.
Yep.
And then we get the weird Tyrion mention.
Exactly.
Just a very weird mention of Tyrion with dreaming of dragons.
A weird line. I had another friend who dreamed of dragons. First off, who's the first friend? Like, another friend who dreamed of dragons.
I guess he's saying Ygritte right now is dreaming of dragons.
Okay, I can see that. I was wondering, does Jon himself dream of dragons? And that's like kind of how that wording came out. Like, oh, I dream of dragons, but I had another friend who dreamed of dragons. Because who dreams of dragons? Who do we know that dreams of dragons? We have one POV that dreams of dragons. Daenerys. And then we know from Duncan Egg that Egg's brother dreams of dragons. We know that Jon the Fiddler dreams of dragons from Duncan Egg. We know Targaryens dream of dragons. There are theories Tyrion Targaryen. That Tyrion is Aerys Targaryen.
Tyrion's the prince that is promised.
Tyrion used to told Jon that he used to have dragon dreams in book 1. Which is interesting because it doesn't really ever come up again that Tyrion dreams of dragons. But he did tell Jon, like, we have Tyrion POVs, but he did tell Jon in book 1 that he dreams of dragons, which is interesting. And then the very last thing I have is the last line of the chapter. He rode till dawn while the stars stared down like eyes.
I didn't even pick up on that dawn. What was I reading?
So dawn and stars stared down like eyes, which kind of gives me Quaithy vibes. Right, because she has a mask of starlight.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of times she says stuff, it's like stars are implied. But yeah, he rode till dawn while the stars stared down like eyes, which I think means he rode till dawn while the gods or Quaithe or Bloodraven or the magic-y people are watching him. So they know what he's doing. They're maybe playing some role somehow and sending Summer into the fray. Maybe Bloodraven sending Summer into the fray to give Jon a chance to escape. You know what I mean? Like, there's a touch of destiny to him. What's that from? Is that Pirates of the Caribbean?
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Of destiny. That's the lady in the swamp.
The lady.
Yeah, Calypso.
Calypso, I break you from your human bond.
All right, well, that's it. We'll see you guys in the next one for Danny 4. Like, subscribe, comment, give us the stars on the platforms that have the stars, like iTunes, I think, and Spotify.
All them stars.
Bye-bye.
Bye.